In this lecture, we look at binding in the context of protein-drug interactions. Now, cells are intricate networks of proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleotides and soluble compounds. These macromolecules interact together so that biological systems can evolve and cells can properly function. In order to interact, these macromolecules bind to each other. When we use the term binding, here we are not referring to covalent bond formation or destruction, but we are referring to non-covalent interactions, such as van der Waals interactions, electrostatic interactions. And this could include hydrogen bonds and so on. And of course, entropy. So we are looking at the binding of small molecules to proteins, non-covalent binding to small molecules at proteins. We will look at mainly proteins, but the same principles apply to any non-covalent simple binding processes. Okay, so if we have a protein P which binds to its ligand L to form a protein ligand complex. This could be an ATP binding protein that binds to ATP. This could be a calcium binding protein that binds to calcium. Then the association constant for the forward reaction is the concentration of the protein ligand complex divided by the protein concentration and the ligand concentration. And the standard Gibbs free energy of binding is related to this association constant in this way, which you're familiar with. For the opposite reaction, where PL goes to PNL, we use what is called the dissociation constant, and it is essentially the inverse of the association constant. It will become clear why we use KD, the dissociation constant, instead of the association constant as we move along. Now the value of KD for tight interactions or strong binding is about 10 to the power of 9 to 10 to the power of minus 12 molar or nanomolar to picomolar. So when you hear of a term such as a drug binds to a protein target with nanomolar affinity, this is a drug that binds strongly. Some examples of these numbers are when an enzyme binds to ATP, the value of KD is between 10 to the power of minus 3 to 10 to the power of minus 6 molar. When a drug binds to a protein, typical values are nanomolar to picomolar. And then there is the famous biotin streptavidin binding. Biotin is vitamin B7 and streptavidin is a protein from Streptococcus. And this is one of the strongest non-covalent binding. In this case, the KD value is 10 to the power of minus 15 molar. So the smaller the value of KD, the stronger the binding, because the dissociation is not occurring. To further quantify how we can calculate KD, we will define what is called a fractional saturation F, which is defined as the amount of protein bound to the ligand divided by the total concentration of the protein, which is the free protein not bound to any ligand, plus the protein bound to the ligand. And this can be written, you can combine this with this equation here, and this can be written as PL by KD multiplied by 1P plus P L by KD. You can simplify this further and we will obtain the fractional saturation as the ligand concentration divided by the dissociation constant divided by 1 plus the ligand concentration divided by the dissociation constant. This is very much like the Langmuir isotherm that we have looked at earlier. Now when the ratio between the ligand concentration and the dissociation constant is about, let's say, 0.01, then the fractional saturation is almost 0, which means it's actually 0.1, nearly 0.01. This means that none of the protein is bound by the ligand. So these are very high values of Kd. If on the other hand L by Kd is approximately equal to 100, then the fractional saturation is 100 by 101, which is nearly 99%, which means nearly all the protein is bound or saturated by the ligand. So when the ligand concentration changes for about 4 orders of magnitude, the protein switches between a fully unbound to a fully bound state. If we go back to this fractional saturation again, when the ratio L by Kd is equal to 1, then the fractional saturation is equal to 1 by 1 plus 1, which is equal to half. And this implies that the ligand concentration is equal to Kd. So when the fractional saturation is half, then the ligand concentration is equal to the dissociation constant. And this can be used to estimate the dissociation constant. So in an experiment, you can measure the fractional saturation using some experimental technique. We will come back to that, as a function of the ligand concentration. And you can have various points which look like this. You can draw a hyperbolic curve just like you did for the Langmuir isotherm. And of course, the maximum value is equal to 1. Here the value is half. And this ligand concentration gives you the value of the dissociation constant. Note that the actual units of Kd are dimensionless. So the actual units are the concentration of the protein divided by some standard concentration multiplied by the ligand concentration divided by some standard concentration, and so on. So these are unitless, but by convention we describe Kd in terms of concentration. Okay, so how is such a measurement made? So what one can do is, for example, make your ligand radioactive. Okay, use, for example, C13 to make it radioactive, so you can easily detect the ligand. Then you make a mixture of a protein with the ligand. Some of the protein will bind to the ligand at a given ligand concentration to form PL star. And then you can separate PL star from L star, so protein ligand complex, from the ligand using some experimental technique. This could be something as simple as a filter, which could isolate the larger protein ligand complex from the smaller ligand. And then you could measure free ligand concentration and the concentration of the protein bound to the ligand. And then this sort of plot, you can repeat the experiment for different concentrations of L star. And this plot also saturates slowly, and you can draw a hyperbolic curve through this. Let's say the maximum value is 200, then the value 100, the ligand concentration corresponding to a PL concentration of half the maximum saturation concentration is equal to the Kd. So this is how you can estimate the dissociation constant of a simple protein ligand binding experiment. In a real experiment, however, this curve looks a bit different. Most of the points are concentrated in the initial part of the curve. The curve looks like this, where many points are concentrated here, and there are very few points at a higher ligand concentration. And this makes it difficult to estimate the exact value of KD because all the points are concentrated at low ligand concentrations. So we need a slightly different technique. We make a logarithmic plot. Now this is equal to, the fractional saturation is equal to, and this is equal to the ligand concentration divided by the ligand concentration plus the dissociation constant. Similarly, you can write 1 minus f, and this will be equal to KD divided by L plus KD. And you can take the ratio between f and 1 minus f, and this will be equal to the concentration of the ligand divided by KD. Now if I take a logarithm on both sides, now the reason we are taking logarithms is because the ligand concentration spans several orders of magnitude, so it's easier to make a logarithmic plot. Now the concentration of L divided by KD can be either less than 1 or it can be greater than 1. When it is less than 1, this value will be negative. When it is greater than 1, this value will be positive. We can also write that equation as log of the concentration of ligand minus log of KD. Since it can assume both positive and negative values, maybe you can zoom in a little bit. We can plot f by 1 by f and the logarithm of that versus the logarithm of the ligand concentration. And when the ligand concentration is equal to KD, then this value will be 0. The slope of this line is equal to 1. So this will be a line going at 45 degrees. And the points will be clustered here now. The slope is equal to 1. This value here is equal to log of KD. So this is a perfectly linear plot where the protein binds to a single ligand. In many cases, this plot is not linear, which implies that the binding process is more complex. This could mean several things. It could mean allosteric effects, where binding of a ligand to one part of the protein changes the conformation of the protein in another binding site. Or you could have multiple protein concentrations or multiple protein conformations, which happens quite often. And in these cases, this plot does not look linear. But we will not go into these complexities for now. So far, we have assumed that we have a knowledge of the total protein concentration. So we are thinking of test tube experiments where we add protein to a solution, and then we add the ligand, we calculate the fractional saturation, and then we can calculate the value of the dissociation constant. In many systems, however, we do not know the total concentration of the protein. This could be, for example, when we add a ligand to a cell or a cell lysate. So in this case, we use something called a Stachard plot, named after an American physical chemist. And the basic idea here is to replace the protein ligand complex by the concentration of bound ligand. Right? So the amount of the protein ligand complex is the same as the concentration of the bound ligand. So let us write this equation again. KD is equal to PL divided by concentration of the protein ligand complex. Now the concentration of the protein is equal to the total concentration of free unbound protein is equal to the concentration of the total available protein minus whatever protein is already bound to the ligand. And this is equal to P total minus the concentration of bound ligand. So we can write KD as, and now I'm taking away the square brackets for simplicity. So L is the total concentration of the ligand, and L bound is the amount of ligand that is bound to the protein. If you rearrange this equation, you will see that the ratio between the bound ligand and the total ligand, I'm sorry, I'm using square brackets again. Okay, so let's do that everywhere. Is equal to minus 1 by Kd multiplied by the concentration of the bound ligand plus the total protein concentration divided by Kd. So now I can plot this value versus the concentration of bound ligand. You can see that the slope of this line, this straight line, will be negative. So the points will look something like this. And then you can draw a straight line and extrapolate the straight line here. The slope of this line is equal to minus 1 by Kd, and the y-intercept is equal to the total protein concentration divided by Kd. So from such a plot, not only can we estimate Kd, but we can also estimate the total protein concentration in the sample. So this is a smarter way to calculate Kd compared to a simple linear plot, because it also gives us the total protein concentration. So that concludes part 1